What's up guys, welcome to another episode of Outsling channel. This video will be another video about leather restoration. What I'm gonna show you is, I'm gonna show you step by step how you can perform this process at home without any special equipment. I'm gonna basically show you two ways. One will be applying the paint with a sponge. Second way will be spraying with a spray gun. So if you have leather seats that they don't look great anymore, here I'm going to show you an example of two leather seats from the same car. One of the seats has been restored, second seat we're going to work on it today now. So if your seats are in similar condition, maybe a little bit better or worse, this job is pretty simple once you follow the steps that I'm going to show you in this video. So let's just have a close look at the seat here that we're going to work today. Overall, the seat is not in the worst condition, considering that this seat is about 25-year-old. So it's not great, but it's a very nice seat to be restored. It has lots of creases, some cracks. The paint the color is worn already, but this can be fixed pretty easy. So if you want to restore leather seat like this at home, you don't need a huge amount of equipment. You need some products, of course. I'm gonna show you the products we're gonna use for this repair. So first of all, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start from cleaning the leather. For that you need leather cleaner. In this case we're gonna use Good Stuff leather cleaner with leather brush. The next thing you will need is sanding pads. In this case we're gonna use 400 gradation sanding pads. You need to sand the surface to create better grip for the new paint. So the next thing we need for this type of repair is, of course, if you paint in any surfaces, you need to make sure you degrease it well. So for that we're gonna use Geist Disolve. This is solvent-based cleaner for degreasing the leather. To fix the creases on that leather, what we're gonna use is leather filler from Geist. Of course, if you want to fill the creases, you have to use dedicated filler for leather. The filler has to be flexible, so don't try to use any other solutions like the filler for cardboard or anything like that, because if you do that, it's not gonna work. The filler has to be flexible. It's also very handy to have spatula for applying the filler. It's a little tool that will help us in that process. And of course you need leather paint. In this case we're gonna use Easy Color Restorer from Geist. So that paint is dedicated for DIY use, so the paint contains color but also contains protective top coat. All that is in one product. The difference between DIY and professional restoration is that when you do professional restoration, you spray color as a single coat and then you apply separately a top coat for the leather. Where for DIY use, you only use one product. Once you paint it, you finish, the job is done. Of course, when it comes to restoring the leather, you need to have the proper color. So in our case, what we do, we match the colors ourselves, so we have no issue. If you want to do this job, you need to find supplier who does that. We do that within Ireland. We ship also to Northern Ireland, but also on request we can ship to other countries as well. We have selection of samples from some brands like BMW, let's say Volkswagen, Mercedes, a couple other ones. In the case if we don't have the sample, unfortunately you have to send us sample of this leather, which could be headrest, or some seats they have overhangs underneath that you can cut out and just send us in an envelope. Then we can match the color for you. What you also need is a heat gun. You can also use hair dryer. The only difference will be with a hair dryer you'll be at very safe side. However, it's going to take you much longer than with a heat gun. When it comes to applying the paint, you have two options really for this job. One, if you don't have the equipment, you can use sponge and dab the paint. I'm going to show you how to do that. Another option, if you have compressor and spray gun, you can use them. This way, the job is going to be sort of nicer job, nicer finish, especially if you have a little bit of experience with the spray gun, and it's gonna be quicker than with the sponge. So let's start the job. If you're painting any surfaces, you should start from cleaning it. So first thing what we're gonna do, we're gonna clean this leather, get it ready for the next step. Before I use the leather cleaner, I'm gonna blow out any loose door that is on the leather. You can also use vacuum for that. I'm just gonna use the air compressor. So for cleaning, I'm going to use leather cleaner with leather brush. Leather brushes are the perfect solution for cleaning leather. That's because you're gonna get every nooks and cranny cleaned properly. If you use just microfiber cloth and you start to wipe it, all you will get cleaned is the top of the surface. When it comes to cleaning the leather, I always use leather cleaner from a foamer. That's because when you use leather cleaner as a liquid, you saturate in the leather good bit. For restoration or even for maintenance, I recommend to use leather cleaner from a foamer. So now the leather is clean. We can clearly see the damage that is on the leather. We can see where we have to fill the leather. Next step in this case will be sanding the leather. For that I will use the sanding pads with 400 gradations. What I'm gonna do in this case, wherever the paint is still in good form, I'm just gonna give it a bit of sanding to sort of smooth down the surface. However, where there is lots of creases, I'm gonna go a bit harder. So what that will do for me is I will need to use less filler. And of course, the less filler you use, the better job it will be. However, if you work on leather with strong grain, don't sand it too much, as that might lead to removing too much grain and the finish is not going to look right. Another very important thing when you sanding the leather is you should avoid sanding the stitching altogether. That's because you can damage the stitching very easily with sanding pads, and once you damage the stitching, there's no easy way to fix it. You would have to go to trimmer. The stitching on this seat is already a little bit damaged here and here. However, the owner knows that. He's happy enough with that. So in this case, not our fault, but I definitely wouldn't like to make it any worse. After sanding, we need to blow out all the stuff. If you don't have compressor, what you could do is you could use hoover or even use microfiber cloth or some sort of cloth just to dust it off. Once that's done, we can degrease the surface. All you need is just a bit of degreaser and good wipe to all the surfaces, so that will degrease the surface and also will remove any remaining dust. The next step would be filling the leather. However, before that, we need to make sure the leather is dry enough for the step. So if you don't have heat gun, you have hair dryer, you can use it. We're gonna use heat gun. Other way you can do it, you can just leave the leather for a couple of hours, let it dry naturally. But in this case, what I'm gonna use is I'm gonna use heat gun for 10-15 minutes. Do it gently. Don't try to kind of cake the leather, but just slowly, surely dry it off. So I dried the leather with the heat gun. I left it for about half an hour just to let the leather to dry naturally a bit as well. Now I'm ready for filler. In this case, the filler is white. If you have contrasted color of the leather and you have white filler, what you can do is you can tint the filler with a bit of paint that you have for the seats. The leather filler shrinks a little bit when it dries. This filler needs like 20 minutes, half an hour to fully dry. So if you have deep creases, you might have to repeat the filling again after. You should avoid filling the stitching or filling the joints between the panels. That's because if you leave any sort of remaining filler there, and it's very hard to clean the filler from those places, what will happen is when you spray the leather, those places with the filler are going to be visible. So basically apply as tiny bit of filler as possible. Don't leave any excess. Also, the reason of that is if you leave sort of excess of filler on the leather, it will be very hard to sand it down with the level of the leather. So I applied the filler mainly where the leather had little cracks. Leather also has some features that I don't feel them at all, because these are natural features of leather. This seat is about 20-25-year-old, so it's no point me to try to make it brand new. If someone wants to have like brand new leather seats that are 20-year-old, the best solution for that is get it retrimmed with brand new leather. Restoration is about trying to revive the look of the leather, but in the case of filler Filler has limits. If you apply too much filler, the filler might give up if there is too thick layer of it. So ideally, when we use the filler, just try to use as little as you can, fill the cracks rather than the creases from use. This way the job will be nice and tasty. So now I'm going to leave this seat for about half an hour, even up to 1 hour. I let the filler to dry fully, then I come back and I will sand it down again with the 400 gradation sanding pad. So now I'm ready for painting. In this case I'm going to show you the fourth option, which is dabbing the paint with the sponge. So we have the paint already mixed. I'm going to use a sponge like this for dabbing. Overall, when you're applying leather paint, whether it's a sponge or whether you use spray gun, what I recommend is to try to apply as tiny coats as possible. So what we do is we apply one coat, one tiny coat, then we use heat gun to dry the coat, and then we do the next one. It's really bad idea to try to rush the job and apply lots of paint, because if you create very thick layer of the paint on the leather, what might happen is that paint might peel off after time. If there is a good bit of excess of the paint on the surface, what you can do is just second sponge and dab it again. So this way you will remove the excess of the paint. When you're drying the paint with the heat gun, don't try to rush this process as well. Just do it gently, do a little bit of heat at the time, move on all over the surface. This way you will have nice job. You won't cause any hassle. If you dry it too quick, you put too much heat, what will happen is the paint will lift. So when the first coat is fully dry, apply the second coat very same way as we did the first one. Dry it well, then apply the third one. Basically, how many coats should you apply? There is no really rule for that, because some leather, if it's not in bad condition, sometimes 2 to 3 coats is enough. If the leather is very bad, you might have to apply 4 or 5 coats. So basically, in this case, you have to just work until you have result that you're satisfied with. So as you can see, even without the spray gun, you can get the results there. It will also look very good, very well. The only thing with application with the sponge is that it's gonna take a good bit of time. To do the seat with 3 coats, we're probably talking about 45 minutes to 1 hour to get this job complete. So for the rest of the seat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use spray gun. Overall, you can get set up like a small compressor, spray gun, hose. You can get it for around 200-250 euro. So maybe for one job you can spend just more time, but like if you were going to do a little bit more, I would suggest you to get some sort of even small setup that will speed up the process good bit. If you're going to spray the seats with the spray gun, most spray guns will have some sort of settings. Like there's 3 settings on most of guns. So this one here, in the case of this gun, is for the amount of the paint, so you can adjust it to get more or less paint. This one is for the air, and this one is for the jet, whether you want to have narrow or wide jet. Also, when you spray it with the spray gun, you do the similar thing as with the sponge. So spray tiny coat on the leather, dry it off, then spray the next one, and keep going till the result is satisfying. Before you start to spray with the gun, make sure the gun is set right. So I'm gonna show you more or less what sort of setting I like to use. So it looks like this. So if you set your gun like that, you won't have runs, and this will give you sort of nice finish on the leather. So as you can see, the job is going nice and smoothly. It will be nice results on this seat. However, I'm not fully happy with this part. I filled it before, but when I spray the paint, there is still some of them cracks are still visible. So in this case, it's not end of the world. We can still fix it. simply we can do a little bit more filling, then we can sand it down, degrease it lightly, and we can keep going with the paint. It's not that you have to strip it and start from zero, as the paint joins with the filler, so there's no issue with that. You can still fill it and paint it over. So now I'm going to keep going with the rest of the seat. I'm just going to leave this part for now. In about 20 minutes the filler will be dry, so I will sand it, just prep it a little bit again, and then I'll finish it off. So this is the final result I achieved on this seat. I personally think it came up pretty good, considering the condition that we started initially. If you have a seat like that and you want to have it better finished than that, what you would need to consider is retrimming the seat. Maybe not the whole seat, but like definitely the bolster, two bolsters, especially that there's stitching missing in this case. But the seat is from weekend car, so this repair will last for a long time. The second last thing I'm going to do with this leather is I'm going to sand it down with 4000 gradation sanding pads. This will get rid of any roughness, even though the finish is pretty good as it is. But if I sand it down, the leather will have that like new feeling touch. And the last thing you can do with repair like this is leave it till next day and apply conditioner, apply tiny coat of conditioner, maybe even a couple of times. If you apply conditioner, if the leather is a little bit hard, it will restore the natural features of leather. It will feed it, so the leather will get back the softness. So this is everything in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. If leather restoration is something you're interested, you can even contact me over the phone or email. I'll try to help you out with setup, or if you have any issues with leather. Of course, if you have any questions, comment below. I'll answer them as best as I can. If you are in Ireland or Northern Ireland and you'd like to learn this skill with me, I do leather restoration trainings. You'll find them on my website. So thanks again for watching, and see you on the next one.